I'm going to crochet 2 Afghan squares together. I have pinned my corners together, so I've matched the corner stitches, corner to corner, and made sure I had the same number of stitches along each piece. I've also done this with right sides together. I'm looking at the wrong side of this zigzag piece, and when I flip it over, I'm looking at the wrong side of this solid piece. I'll start with a standing single crochet in the corner stitch. I have a slip knot on my hook and I've left about a 6-inch tail. Insert my hook through that corner stitch, through both loops of the corner stitch of the front square and both loops of the corner stitch on the back square. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through 2. That completes my first corner stitch. Now that I have my first stitch, I'll just crochet through the front square and through the back square. So there are actually 2 stitches on my hook right now. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through both loops. Single crocheting under both loops of the front square and the back square. Because I know I have the same number of stitches on each square between my markers, I can just work 1 stitch in the front, 1 stitch in the back together. If I didn't have the same number of stitches, sometimes I might have to skip a stitch in front and work just in the back, or vice versa. I might have to skip a stitch in back and just work through the front square in order to get those edges to, those corners to come out even. As I come to the next corner, I'm happy to see that my corners line up. I'm going to work my last stitch of these 2 squares into that pair of corner stitches. And I have completed working across those 2 squares. Now I want to work across another pair of squares because I'm going to be joining my squares in a line. So I have another set of squares that I have pinned in the same way. My corners match, and I've pinned them with right sides together. Now I need to make the jump from this first pair of squares to the next pair of squares. I like to put an extra chain 1 right here in the juncture between these 2, because when I go back to join these squares vertically, in other words along this line, I like to have a little bit of extra space. So I've done a chain 1 there. Now I'm going to just go into the corner stitches, which have been pinned together through that pair of corner stitches, and single crochet those 2 together. Then continue working stitch for stitch all the way across this square. I'll do that same connection on the next set of squares I need to do, so I can join as many pairs of squares as I like in an entire row, and then later go back and do the connections, the seam that goes this way. I'm looking at the right side of all my squares, and I have done all my horizontal connections. So I have 4 tiers of 3 squares each, but now it's time to do that vertical seam. To do that, I will fold the pieces with right sides together and then go down to the end of the pieces so that I can work again with right sides together, wrong side facing me, and I'm starting at the bottom edge of my rectangle, my large rectangle. Beginning with a slip knot on my hook and about 6 to 8 inches of yarn tail, I will work into the corner stitches. Now I don't have these marked, so I have to be very careful, to work into the corner stitch of the front square and the back square and single crochet together. I will single crochet the front square and the back square together across, as I've done for all my other squares. When I come to the corner of the first pair of squares, I need to single crochet into those corner stitches. I've already done that in the other direction, but now I've single crocheted into that corner stitch again. And remember that chain one space I had here? I'm going to do that again. I'm going to chain one and let it jump over that existing seam and work into the pair of corner stitches again here. And then continue to single crochet into the front and back loops, the front and back squares all the way across, stitch for stitch. I'll come to additional intersections like this and treat them the same way. And then I'll have another entire vertical row that I need to work in the same way as the one I've just showed you. When I have completed my horizontal and vertical seams, this is what the wrong side looks like. There's a little bit of a ridge on the wrong side where my single crochet was done, but it's not too tight here on the corners. When I turn it around and look at the right side, you can see the stitches here worked evenly and the corner looks nice. There's a little bit of space there. That chain one allowed the corner not to pull in too tightly, and it lies nice and flat. A little bit of blocking will allow these seams to lie nice and flat on both the right side and the wrong side. If you'd like more crochet instruction like this, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out the links in the video notes for other ways you can find me. Thanks for watching.